Disclaimer. The content presented in this show is intended for entertainment purposes only. All opinions expressed are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of any individuals or organizations mentioned. Statements made about public figures or entities are based on publicly available information and are not intended to harm or defame any person or business. This show relies on fair use of social media posts, which are presented in good faith for the purpose of commentary and criticism. Viewers and listeners are advised to form their own opinions. Circle back right here on the Circles Off channel, part of the Hammer Betting Network, and presented as always by Underdog. This is the show where we cover the latest and greatest from the week that was on gambling Twitter. As we learned from the Tuesday rendition of Circle Back, gambling Twitter these days goes pretty far beyond just gambling. We'll learn a little bit more about that as we get into the meat of today's episode with the A-team. Up in the top right corner next to me is Jeff Nadu. Underneath me, we have Flup No Lied, Chris Dierkes. In the bottom right, we have Joey Knish. Nadu, back on it on the show this week. How did it feel missing out on the content from last week?
Well, it's never good that I'm not here with the A-team, but as I think you all can see, we got a pretty good lineup. This has the potential to be a real good show, so happy to be back.
Absolutely loaded script today, ready to go, and good to have all the regulars back before. Pour one out for Isaac, who filled in last week, and then me and Flup having to go 2 weeks ago. Me and Flup having to go, fill it in for last week. So, hey, ready to go today.
He missed his opportunity last week. We had a spot for him, but he missed out. Who knows what could have happened had he...
I heard Jason bailed too. We were like, really, hey, Jason, come on in. We want you. And he said, no. It was too hot for him. So,
hey, let us know in the comments if you want Jason to appear next time we ever have an absence on the show. But let's dive into things that you can see from the bottom of the screen. If you're watching, we have quite a loaded episode, as Nadu said. And the first topic here, getting limited. How do people actually get limited? Well, it all started with this conversation from the real Mr. ACL, who said $4.16 max limits. Honest question, DK Sportsbook. Why even bother putting this up? It's a screenshot of DraftKings where it's Kenny Pickett, QB to take the first snap for the Cleveland Browns, regular season week 1 of the next season, and yes, limited to $4.16 at plus 120 odds. And Gino _BetOpenly, GinoBetOpenly.com says this is how they treat those that win. But the NJ betting guru had a different mindset on how they treat winners, because he says, not true. I'm up over $500,000 on them, $250,000 this year alone so far. It's not about people who win. It's about people who repeatedly find edges or quote unquote trader errors, rather than just picking the games or parlays straight up and winning. And the reply to that is from Jeff Benson of Circa, who says, LOL, #circle back. And we'll go to you first here, Flup. You're laughing in the background here. You like this one. You really wanted to talk about this. Is the NJ betting guru right about how they limit people?
Yes and no. Technically, yes. If you aren't getting errors and you're not getting CLV and you're just betting straights, you can survive a lot longer. That being said, he is not doing that, and he admits later on that he's down overall. He refuses to post his overall results on DraftKings, which I find hilarious. Somehow he says it in that one tweet that he's up, but then in a later tweet he refuses to show it because it doesn't count for some random reason. It didn't make any sense.
Was it like a COVID season maybe where there's no fans?
Yeah, that's a Zylbert method. Just throw one season out for no reason.
Knish, thoughts this?
I feel like I've been talking about this story all day. But we really, I'm going to say, you got him on the first point there of, I mean, technically, you know what? Like, yes, if you're not finding, edges or trader errors, could you probably go on?
Not wrong.
You're not wrong, but I'd love to, if I could get pay $100 to see this guy's actual, up or down, net on his DraftKings account. That'd be great. So, it's a little bit of a rough one. I will say the ACL guy, I'm not going to let this jab go. Total like fraud scammer there has had me blocked for a decade. When I used to, back in when Pizzola was calling out the Philly Godfather, I was calling out, this guy occasionally.
He's been around a long time, that guy.
Yeah. So
at least a decade.
Still making a living drumming it, but yeah, let's just say I don't think the NJ Betting Guru's account, maybe that's maybe one of those VIP accounts that people occasionally look for.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where people don't recognize like what's actually a big tell on themselves scenario, and this is absolutely one of those scenarios. I mean, if you're gonna talk big, like you're up over $500,000 on them, 250 this year alone. You better have some screenshots to back it up, and don't go hide when you're unable to do so.
This is right out of his playbook, though. He's done this type of rhetoric for as long as I've known him. I mean, I've known of him. He's one of the cringiest people in this community. Everything is a constant sell job about how he's the greatest. It always goes back to selling his service. And I mean, he's of course the greatest UFC bettor in the world. Like they always there's like 5,000 of them, Knish.
It's all right. It's always the UFC guys, as we say, that are you know what? If you got UFC capper in bio, then run far
Sports
away.
handicapper UFC champ is in the bio there.
There you go. Yeah, do your former champ.
If you have capper in bio, what are the odds that you're a winning bettor? It's got to be approaching 0% at this point. It's pretty sad. But there was another. If we go back to the first screenshot of it, I think there's a big disconnect, and it's sad that the ACL guy has been around for almost a decade and doesn't understand this. But the trading team at a lot of these sports books do not always communicate with every other department. I've had DraftKings, my personal DraftKings account is limited, and I've gotten plenty of offers that I couldn't even use because I'm limited, because they just don't communicate with each other. So other users can probably bet thousands on this prop, but he can't because he's in a limited account. So it's not like DraftKings doesn't want to take any action on it. They just don't want to take action from him. Should they have a better system in place? Absolutely. Could it be massively improved? Definitely. But there's no malintent here.
So I will say, in terms of UFC bettors, I do like Narco Cop. He's an all right guy. I've always had a decent, back and forth with him.
On the topic of getting limited, like you said, Flup, CLV is an indicator of likely a winning bettor, and therefore they're more likely to get limited. People who smash trader errors are definitely going to be profiled and close to being limited. But like, what goes into actually getting limited? Like, what is it? What would people do to avoid getting limited? Can you be a winning bettor and avoid getting limited at an ultra soft book like DraftKings?
No, you cannot. I've never had. Well, on my personal accounts, I've never been able to last long at all. The longest accounts I've ever had was my Caesars, which lasted 6 months, but I wasn't even betting that big at that time, and they've been limited. To last forever and make a sizable amount of money without getting limited is an impossibility. Can you make more than most other people before getting limited? Yes, and that's part of the skill and the art. I've talked about this to give a shout out to myself, I guess, on the Circles Off channel. I did talk about some techniques. You could watch that one, but I think the biggest thing that you could do is remember how you are perceived. Exhibit behaviors of gambling problems, and you'll last a lot longer. So how you size bets, how you deposit, the frequency of what you deposit, those all matter, and that could really help it with making your accounts last a lot longer. But you'll never last forever. It's impossible.
One other funny thing with Betting Guru, he's also one of these guys, and there's a very special few that do it. They think it's like a flex, and they think it's going to help them in terms of selling stuff. He always makes it clear that he has VIP hosts at all these different casinos and stuff, and he doesn't realize that it's like there's only certain people that have those for a reason.
It's just funny when people tell themselves like this and just don't understand enough about betting. But these are people that actually sell picks, and it's a wonder why people buy them. But hey, maybe we can educate some people to not buy picks from people like this. So hopefully doing a service here. Before we go to the next topic, though, a word from our presenting sponsor, Underdog. We're talking about Underdog Fantasy because they're basically giving away wins this weekend. New users who sign up with promo code CIRCLES get up to $1,000 in bonus credits plus a gimme pick to kick things off. And these gimme picks, they look like straight up freebies. For Friday, it's going to be Nikola Jokic higher than half a point. That's it, arguably the best player in the world just to score 1 point. You're not going to be sweating that one. The platform's simple. Pick a few player stats, go higher or lower, and you're in. Entries take less than a minute, and you can win real cash off just a handful of picks. A bunch of our viewers and listeners have been firing on Underdog lately, and with these gimme picks lined up, now's the perfect time to join them. Hit the link in the description, use promo code CIRCLES, and get your Saturday night off on the right foot with a freebie win. Next up, we have the Bettors life cycle and selling picks in general. This conversation came up in a few different ways over the course of the last few days, notably from our very own Joey Knish, who said the 2025 life cycle of an EV, or quote-unquote, EV profit in bio, new age sports bettor. And here's the list. Be poor, start arbing, make incremental sum of money, drop out of college, lose all accounts, start shilling Discord and or OJ pyramid scheme, subs can't win, everything dries up, back to poor. And then there was a lot more than three, but the three top replies to this tweet are from China, Frank Rambo, and MWG, who said, "You forgot fight in Twitter boxing matches." Frank Rambo says, "You left out taking up boxing." And MWG says, "Forgot about boxing grifters in Vegas." But China also had more to say on the selling picks conversation and had this to say. China Maniac, who's sharp bettor, who has appeared on Circles Off previously as well, says, "Just a reminder, the reason why people started Discord is because they can't win at betting in 99.9% of cases. I saw some guy on Tommy G's YouTube channel last night who said he had a 400% ROI betting lifetime and he charges for a Discord. Today I found out we have a guy who charges for a Discord but can't afford to pay out a 25K prop bet," which I don't know. We might talk about that a little bit later. Winners bet, losers sell. You started this conversation off, Knish, with the life cycle of a sports player. Why don't you elaborate a little bit more on what you meant here?
Well, you've seen this now all over Twitter for the better part of the last few years, is you've got so many, we'll call them top-down softwares now, that people, they start in they say, oh my God, the glitz and the glam, like, they start an odds or the grid odds jam subscription, odds blah, one of those two, something bet stand, start arbing all, but first month, you're like, I'm going to be rich, man. I don't know why I'm working. What am I even going to the 9 to 5 for? I don't know why I need a job. This is the greatest thing ever. You make some people, you might make 10K, you might be, if you're a little more aggressive, you have people with like, 100K into it. But quickly you learn, or maybe not even learn, it just happens that all of a sudden the soft books start limited to you. Then you're restricted to a couple of books there. Then all of a sudden the only books that you can get a decent bet down on are maybe the sharper books that where you can't really get a good position. And then it's like, well, what am I going to do now? I'll sell this, information that I have, which is really just, stale lines on soft books to other people. Those people then don't really realize in their Discord that you're selling, the nothing. And then it's like, where am I at? So to me, like, this is why I would almost, advise nobody in my life to go be a pro bettor, starting here even though, Flup's going for, he's having his, mad rounders moment. He's going for the gold here. That all of a sudden, like, it's just so hard unless you're what I would call an extremely talented originator or mover that can get a lot of these. Like, you're going to have a finite number of accounts, and once they run dry, you kind of, the gig is up. So I don't begrudge anybody for making a little side cash doing what you can do, but it's not a long-term strategy for most people, even though most of those people probably don't realize it until it's happening to them.
It's just tough in the early stage. I think that's the first barrier. Like the first barrier is actually becoming a winning bettor, but the second barrier of betting success is actually keeping those accounts open.
I'll relate this topic to content, doing content for a living, right? Or leaving a job to do content. Okay, a lot of people will go viral on a TikTok or a tweet or some video on YouTube, and they'll think, okay, maybe I can do this, and maybe I can be the guy that makes money, off content. And then you realize you got to do that consistently. And you were at the mercy of algorithms at the end of the day, right? Things catch up just like you would in sports betting. So, yeah, it's hard to do something consistently. If it was this easy, everybody would do it. That tweet by Joey Knish, I don't give you a lot of credit. One of your better tweets that you've had.
I'm producing the content for the show and commenting the content. I got every three on my back here. Like
you also did forget one thing.
The gorilla.
Some of them will quit their jobs as well, the regular jobs.
There was a few certain people I had specifically in mind when I was tweeting that, but.
Joe, I thought this was hilarious. This is one of your better tweets. I definitely laughed at this one, but I think you did miss something here. I think everyone wants something different. I've kind of realized this over the years. Some people are totally fine grinding it out unlimited accounts and can make mid 5 figures, even low 6 figures, doing this full time and grinding out unlimited accounts without having to scale. And we see these tweets all the time. And that's a totally acceptable lifestyle. If that's what you want, go for it. The thing that I have an issue with, and that you obviously alluded to, is those people then selling the edge and acting as if they've found a cure for cancer. And this is like, this is the greatest money-making method of all time, when it's really not. It's like all these top-down, like the odds jams of the world, it's selling you a service to be able to make between $15 and $30 an hour, grinding it out.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing? Certainly. And it's much better than people betting on themselves, but it's not the secret sauce to generational wealth. You have to do a lot more than that. And I think some people don't want that, but some people are totally fine grinding it out. There's a few Twitter accounts I know that grind it out like 8 hours a day, and that's no problem with that.
Yeah, everyone's got different strategies towards betting. Everyone's got different ways of going about it, 100%. But I think the worst of the worst out there are the people who sell top-down picks.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys.
Anyone can do that. What was that?
I got one question. Do you think there's any bettor that sells picks legitimately that is winning? Do you think there's anyone out there?
Yes. So Nadu, I kind of shifted away from the all touts are bad. Majority are, and you can have many winning touts that win themselves and sell picks. The problem is if those picks win and they sell them, the odds that the users that are buying get the same number is very low. Right. I could run a Discord right now and sell. You should not buy my picks, because by the time you get the number has moved. Right. And it's no longer good for you anymore. So even though I'm winning, you wouldn't win buying my picks, and that's how most people are. I can't think of many people that can sell picks and their clients can win as well. That's the very difficult part. There's a few services out there that I can think of, but even then, if you're able to do that, then you struggle with the fact that you're going to get limited even faster. So is it even worth it to buy it at that point?
Well, I'm going to say this. Both of you are invited next fall to Nadu, and you can see what I do, and you can put it to the test.
Here we go. Hey, it's like we're going to be GRP track. I'm going to have my notebook for the name. Show it up on here every week.
I work on the board YouTube channel. I work with Pips NBA, who is a pick seller, and everything has pointed towards him being a winning bettor who is a winning pick seller as well. It's his clients win. He's a winner as well, and the numbers are look, 10, 20 minutes later, maybe not, but if you're on the ball with things, you'll get down at prices at widely available numbers. So I'll shout out him as an example of a person who sells picks, is a winner, and clients win as well.
Well, Jacob, to push back on that, it's just like those.
Get him, Flop. Yeah, the boardroom doesn't have nothing on Hit the Books, and he's trying to floss up his guy on there. Bury his ass.
Even if that's all true, you still don't know.
Yeah, the limiting conversation.
Right. There's first the limiting, but also it's how they advertise it as well. If I'm a customer that has a full-time job, I might not be able to get the picks at the same rate that he's sending them out. So they're always going to come 30 minutes later. And at this point, they're dust to me. Additionally, is it made clear that you have to play it at this specific number? So I've seen so many people where they post their picks on Twitter and then someone has tailed them and bought in the picks at a number like 50 to 100 cents worse. And I'm like, the original pick might have been winning.
I think the issue with I'm not the type to buy picks, but the people who would be the type to buy picks don't want to really have to think. So they wouldn't likely. It is communicated, like the price is important. That is definitely communicated. There are people who just refuse to be saved. Like sometimes on the show, there's a bet that Pips wants to play, let's say, but it's no longer available at the price he wants to play. So we don't even tell people what it is. People ask chat, what would the pick have been? We don't even tell them because we know people will bet them, even though we explicitly say you cannot bet this anymore because the price is gone. They will still bet it, so we don't even tell people. So some people can't be saved. I agree with you. Like for any pick seller, like accounts is definitely a problem, but I don't think there's like any perfect way to sell picks, but there are better ways than others to go.
Well, the top-down stuff is, as folks said, like
top-down is ridiculous.
You're
of course,
giving people like, hey, you can bet this at ESPN Bet or Fanatics or Tropicana or something where like these books that are the slowest to move that take bets from nobody. Hey, still good here, and it's like that. I mean, that's really what you're getting in a lot of these discords. Hard Rock. Right. So again, nothing perfect, but better ways to go about it than others. Top-down pick selling is just ridiculous. But I do mostly agree with China. I wouldn't say 99.9% of cases that person can't win. I'd say 99.9% of the times that person can't quite scale to the degree that they want. I think that's maybe the bigger problem. But let's move on to the next topic. I alluded to it a little bit here, a 25K prop bet. Was that in relation to this topic here? This comes from NBA Green Beans, Brett Feinsod, and the original poster here is Thon Misser, at Thon Misser, who says, let me know, this is the original post from December 21st. He says, let me know if you want the Venmo or if you're more of a Zelly guy. Is that how you say it, Zelly?
Zell.
Americans don't even have e-transfers. It's ridiculous. You guys have to use all these extra services to send people money when Canadians just use e-transfer. You just send it through email, and that's it. Easy, no fees. But anyways, this is how it started.
Nobody has any money in Canada, so it's not a big deal.
Joe, it doesn't matter.
Hey, man.
For state in no time anyway. It's all good.
We're heading direction. Americans won't have any money as well, man. Brett Feinsod says, brother, there are over 400 NBA games in a month. You should be able to get down enough NBA volume to mitigate bad variance every month. Part of being a GOAT is changing or adapting losing processes if you are losing over a large sample size. Thon Misser chimes in and says, I mean, there just isn't over 400 games a month. Like, it's simply not true. Brett Feinsod, yes, there is, with the laughing, crying emojis. There's been 810 NBA games the past 2 months. And remember, this is in December, 2 months into the NBA season, which started around October 21st. Thon, fantastic. I'll bet you $25,000 that there hasn't been 800 NBA games played so far this season. Brett Feinsod, deal. And then quotes that tweet from Thon to Victory Lap, says, you owe me $25K, brother. And then Thon replies, imagine selling picks and not realizing two teams play in a basketball game. There have been 405 games played coming into tonight. After tonight, it'll be 419. Let me know if you want the Venmo. So to put it to the test, I asked ChatGPT how many games there are in an average NBA season. I mean, there's obviously easier ways to do this, but I said to ChatGPT, I said, how many NBA games take place per month on average during the regular season? This is something that Brett could have done to avoid this whole mess. And it comes down to about 205 games per month league-wide, which is right around 410 over 2 months. But as Thon alludes to here, Brett Feinsod used all of the teams' game played and added it up, which obviously two teams play in each game. Thon said, for clarification here, I am not expecting, and he brought this up this week. This is resurfaced months later. We're May 1st now, but the resurfaced is April. For clarification here, I'm not expecting at NBA Green Beans to pay on this bet. Am I glad I dunked on him? For sure. Is the boxing content the lamest thing on this app? 1,000%. Do I want to ruin anyone's reputation over a stupid miscalculation? No. And Flup, you are one of the many people who jumped in and said, I'm confused. Do you not expect 25K because you expect it and interest? And many other people said, like, no, he owes you 25K. But Brett, underneath, of course, said this. Appreciate you being mature and clarifying, Thon. Brett Feinstein, NBA Greetings, by the way, pick seller in the NBA space, self-proclaimed pro bettor, I think is the best way to put it here. Flup, yes, you want to elaborate? You think that he owes
that was a
25K?
sarcastic tweet. I do not think he owes him 25,000. It's funny. Thon actually DM'd me and asked like what I thought, and I said, I mean, you clearly can't expect to collect. This is a miscommunication. All it looks like is Brett is a massive idiot, which it was funny and it was cool to dunk on him. But I mean, both people were never going to pay if they are proven wrong in this instance. So the bet, I don't consider that a serious bet. If you really want to make a bet with someone, you got to like go with it in DMs and confirm and everything like that. The way they did it, it was never serious. It was funny to dunk on him, but I don't think it's good to drag his reputation through the mud like that. Make him look like an idiot, totally cool. But make him look like a stiff, not cool.
Two things. We got to stop with these bets online. Do they ever work out correctly? I mean, there's always something going on with them. Number two, this is the really interesting arc of the continued people involved in Elf Spaces. 1 week they're on top of the world, right? I mean, he beat up Man of the Library. Really wasn't close. Brett was good. He was kind of in a good spot. Now it's back to, he's back in the doghouse again. He's got to explain why he didn't do this and didn't do that. And he's giving people more ammo that don't like him. And there are a lot of people that don't like Brett.
I love a good green bean burial. I'll tell you that. So I enjoyed it. But the amount, I think the thing here was the amount, right? Like if they said like 500, then it's like it feels more real. Like if we got like 500, like deal, okay, here you're an idiot, pay me the money. And then I think even just to like, if I don't know if Green Bee would do this, but like if it's me, then I'm just giving the guy the $500 because I was an idiot, I was wrong here.
I do want to shout out. He did give him $1,000 just for.
Oh, really?
Yes. Okay. Green Bee did give him $1,000.
And you know what?
And the kid betted on 27-1 on the Clippers.
Yeah.
Then to me, I think I gotta give it. You're like, I'm clear. Green Bee's clear in there. You got dunked on. You paid a little money. I think the amount was just kind of one of those like it's a joking type of amount unless you're doing something. So yeah, I think that's a fair resolution.
I was gonna follow up and ask, do you think if it had gone the other way, would Brett Feinstein be asking for that 25K? But you guys all seem to think he wouldn't.
Yes.
No, he would.
He'd be yes.
Oh, you think he would? Flup, you don't think so, but Nadu, you think he would be asking for it?
No, he would.
He would be asking for it, but I don't think he would be expecting to collect. The difference here is Brett would have been very brutal about it and like hounded him.
He was wrong, and he already was like trying to clown him.
right. Whereas like that's why I think Thon here it looks a lot better because Thon just like let it go for a couple of months and then brought it back up when it became relevant again and. It was well timed, and I think he did deserve the $1,000 there.
Can we go back to that tweet thing that you just had up? We got to comment on one thing. Part of being a GOAT is changing or adapting, losing. Like that's a funny. Is he saying that he's a GOAT or?
Yes.
Yeah. Right before looking like an ass.
That's very funny, actually.
Yeah,
it's just perfect. So good. He acts like he's this genius NBA guy and doesn't even know how many games.
Yeah,
that's by the way, one other thing. Thon Misser that's a very funny
legit name. Like absolutely. Like I was gonna bring that up too. Like absolute banger.
Yeah.
Jacob doesn't even know he's our NBA guy. Doesn't even know it's a play on Thon Maker.
Thon Maker, yeah. He was. Yeah. I remember Thon Maker.
Hey,
was
Thon Maker's Canadian. You're acting like I don't know. Yep. What about
but Thon Maker? Thon Maker was the great. Like everyone thought he was going to be the most amazing.
I will say, me too. I was like, whoa, this guy's unbelievable. He's going to be on, and he's like the laziest NBA player of all time. People like 6 teams kept giving him a chance because of his talent. He like did nothing ever.
Well, let's go to you guys, the viewers, the listeners. Let's go to the comments. And we have a couple of comments here to discuss on today's show here. The first one comes from Brad BD0911. says, I also dislike the arbitrage argument. So it was in reference to Flup. You said on the previous episode you worried about when a bet gets voided for a misclick or bad price. You mentioned that you worry about arbitrage bettors and how that could affect them. And this is what Brad had to respond with. I also dislike the arbitrage argument. Arbitraging is not a tactic used by many recreational/novice bettors. Therefore, many of the examples being illustrated really are moot since they only apply to those with experience. Parentheses, who fully know what they are doing and are trying to have their cake and eat it too. So, Flup, obviously, we'll let you go first because this is disagreeing with your point here. What do you have to say to this?
Great point, Brad.
No, bad point, because we just saw an example this past week. There was another case of the Novig void.
We'll get there. We'll
get there. The guy is clearly a recreational bettor in arbitrage, and we talked about it earlier with Joey's tweet. How many odds jam shills come out there and promote the arbitrage, and you can be a new bettor and learn about arbitrage and be arbing within a week? You have no idea what's going on. These are recreational and novice bettors that have no idea what's going on, and they aren't trying to take advantage of like palps or void or like errors and anything like that. They're just doing what their hero on Twitter has told them, and they're like the Alex Monahan. They love Alex Monahan, and they're just doing what he says, and they don't mean they're not trying to take advantage there. So this is completely ludicrous. Joey is completely wrong. He tried to agree with it. He has no idea what he's talking about.
Brad and I, obviously, the people agree with Joey K. Shocker.
By the way, I didn't get to comment on this. I was not asleep the other week. Fuckers. Whoever the fuck that was in the comments.
There's some video evidence here.
It was Mike Viv.
Yeah, that fucking idiot. Yeah, that moron. No,
that was hilarious.
I was looking down, dummy.
This is
but anything that comes out of that fucking guy's mouth is always stupid. So.
If anyone doesn't know, a couple weeks ago, Nadu, there was a video of him. It appeared as though he was sleeping. I did say on the show it was more so like you're probably looking at your phone, but yes, that you do have your chance now today.
It's more funny if you think it's sleeping, so we're gonna ride with that one, even if it's wrong.
Fair
all right. Let's go to the next comment here. I actually didn't realize this at the time, but Brad is both the comments here because Brad had another good one here on the Profit
Another great
X
comment by Brad.
Well, we'll see. The Profit X debacle gives me pause because it takes personal responsibility away from ensuring your data is correct and you have set a right price. The infantilization of society and the increase of guardrails takes away personal responsibility from almost every facet. If you bet no home run at minus 6,000 and want it voided, it is not so different from wanting an injured player over voided. You made a bad bet. Sometimes you have to live with the bad choices you make in life.
It sounds like Brad is agreeing with me here, Joey.
I'm gonna say, wait, like, I'm lost in this argument now. Like, I don't know what side Brad's on. I don't even remember what side I'm on. Like, we're going around in circles 8 times.
So this is just comparing, like, if somebody sets a wrong price on a market and wants it voided, it's the same as somebody making a bet on, like, let's say Anthony Davis over whatever points. He gets injured the first 5 minutes, and everyone's yelling for that to get voided. Is that the same as setting the wrong price on a Colorado Avalanche's market when you when you set a price for one game instead of an entire series? What do you think, Flup?
So it's really nuanced here, but there can be. I can think of an example where I'm given bad data by a data provider, and I set a price that is wildly off, which I think is what happened with the Avalanche example. The market maker was given a bad data set. They thought it was the game price or the previous, before the series started price, and they priced it wrong off of information that they had no control over. It wasn't like they had all the information and then made a terrible decision. They had bad information that wasn't their fault. So that's very different than if I were to misclick on a no home run at minus 6,000. I would agree with his point more that if someone misclicks or miscalculates the price based on correct information, they have to take a personal responsibility. But it's really, really hard to decide which is personal responsibility and which just bad data from a data provider.
Jeff, you didn't have a chance to weigh in on this last week, but when somebody puts out the wrong price on something like Profit X, where they set the price incorrectly and a bettor takes advantage of that, Do you think that bet should be voided because they clearly made an error when setting the price on the exchange?
No, I don't. It's
So-
their systems. It's their
Right.
responsibility.
That's what Brad is kind of pointing out here.
Yeah,
as well.
I agree with him. I think he's 100% right. It's no different than, but then again, here's where I'll say it. Hold on. If the bank gives me $5,000 too much, it's not my money, right?
Bank wants the money back.
Right.
Are you giving the money back?
Yeah, wants our money
Well,
back.
of course, I'm gonna get prosecuted. 100%, I'm gonna get the money back. I mean, that's just how it works. So I guess
You will.
in terms of that, I guess you look at it like that. But again, it's a slippery slope. I would say in these terms, no. But Flup, you just agree with that?
In principle, I agree, but it becomes problematic. Like my point was, say I'm trying to make a bet on something, and I'm using odds provided by ESPN or odds provided by the exchange, and the odds are incorrect. So then I make a bad price. How is that my fault? Right. I was using their information.
Right.
The exchange should, in my opinion, void the bet because what am I supposed to do in this instance?
Well, this is the interesting thing because there's always instances that we can make on things as far as we do in life where, like, if the bank gives you too much money, they're going to prosecute you if you don't give the money back. If DoorDash sends me 2 orders and I like both of them, I'm not going to like call DoorDash and be like, hey, you gave me too many orders. Like, I'm just going to eat it, So it's, I don't know. It's
the example I would have used, like, if I'm at like a restaurant, they just don't put something on my bill that I had ordered. I'm not going to, hey, you missed this. I owe you more money. I'm not going to say
it's an ethical thing, I think. Look,
The old man do would ate both. The new one just eats
No,
half,
right.
and then saves it for his meal prep.
But let me ask you this. Here's an ethical question for all of you. You have 2 people, right? One of them is a drug dealer. He's a drug dealer. The other's a little old lady. They both drop $2,000 out of their wallet.
Yeah. And
you walk away. Are you going to both of the time say to them, hey, you dropped that? Or like with the one guy.
Yeah. Well, like the restaurant example, if I'm at like a
4K, he's walking to his house thinking, this is the greatest day of his life.
That's actually a really good question to do because I would be more inclined to take the money from the drug dealer and more inclined to give it back to the little old lady.
I think most people would, but I would say it's
sure,
just,
go ahead.
Yeah, I would just say with both, it's going to live in your conscience both times. Maybe he's a drug dealer who, that's his last batch he's cooked up. He ain't doing it after this. He just had, triplets. He's out. He's going to get a real job. It would still bother me that, it's kind of scant, I don't know.
So related to my example, if it's like a mom and pop shop, local that I'm trying to support, maybe I'll let them know. But if I'm going to like a conglomerate of a restaurant, like an Olive Garden, I'm definitely not.
Wait, so during the George Floyd riots, you were okay with looting because it's Nike. They have enough money.
I think that's a little bit different.
That dude came with a great example. Now he's
is it? So if it's a mom and pop corner store, is it any different?
I think it is different.
Is it?
I think in one example, they forget to put something on my bill. Another example, I'm breaking and entering into a place of business.
But it's the same thought. Like, are you okay with both or?
I wouldn't say looting is good at
either level. Okay, that's what I agree. I
I want to relate this back to sports betting, which is the main topic of this.
Well, we'll see in just a second here.
Yeah,
That's the main
he
topic.
Wants to take that 4,000. He just took from the old
go ahead, Flo.
What he's going to bet on with it.
In the example that like Nadu gave is if I have two different users on an exchange, one's a market maker and one is a recreational bettor, I would be more inclined to void the recreational bettors than I would the market makers, even if it's the same situation, because I feel like the recreational bettor is more innocent and deserves a bigger break here. Whereas you could make the argument that the market maker should be more aware of mistakes, like if they misclicked or something like that. An example of a misclick, I'd be more willing to avoid a recreational bettor. And maybe that's not the right attitude, but a lot of these cases have to go case by case, and you can't have blanket rules.
Let's just take a second here to thank all the amazing viewers and listeners on the Circles Off platform, especially for shows like Circle Back, and even more especially for our A-team for these Friday episodes. You, the people, are what help drive this content, but you can help drive this content even further. First of all, on YouTube by hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel, helping us on the road to 20,000 subs. If you're listening in audio form, then take a second to rate and review 5 stars. As you help grow the channel, as you help grow the Hammer, we can do more content more often and maybe land some even bigger guests. So make sure you're supporting our content, but now let's get back to the current episode. Well, I think it's time to move on here. It's tough to move on to this topic, but it is time to move on to this topic here. Matt Zylbert, once again, is the feature on today's show. And as I said at the intro of today's show, gambling Twitter has spun beyond just gambling in the recent weeks, and maybe no more than this example here. So Matt Zylbert, the whole saga, I mean, for years, Matt Zylbert has been a bit of a unliked figure in the gambling Twitter space because of his constant persistence to reply to people who are professional bettors asking for the record. Sometimes he'll even replied to the VP of analytics for an NFL team and ask what his documented record is for this season. But has made a bad rep for himself in doing this, in continuously calling people out. And upon calling people out consistently for their documented record, Matt Zylbert himself got into hot water because there is an article that clearly shows edits were made after midnight, after a game had concluded, and it is very, very, very likely that in that instance, almost 100% certain that the article was edited to change where
we
something
thought that was
bet.
the worst thing he did over the last few months. Apparently not.
I know, I'm getting there, but this is how I'm trying to like develop the story here. So change an article to change where a bet was placed to turn a losing bet into a voided bet. And this caused mayhem, and it caused for people who didn't like Zylbert, who wanted to call him out for this edit article when he is always calling other people out for documentary. It caused them to dig a little bit deeper into exactly who Matt Zylbert is beyond gambling Twitter. Well, publicly available information surfaced that Matt Zylbert actually has been arraigned and pled not guilty for a stalking charge. And on top of this stalking charge, this trial has been continuously postponed, as Frank Rambo points here at Jason Williams I7. Time to leak the DMs. Our little guy Zylbert has a pending stalking charge, and his public defender keeps postponing the trial. Who would have ever imagined this based on his online stalking behavior? At YElf, hashtag more to come. So
Why
that was the
you
start
didn't read?
here.
You got to say the boss language. What's up with that, dude?
I just ignore it.
That's brutal.
I don't even understand what that is.
I don't either, to be honest. So this is stalking in the 4th degree. Okay, it's a misdemeanor. Okay, it's not a felony. That doesn't mean that it's not bad and we shouldn't take it seriously. The problem is this is just an allegation. Okay, and I think one of the most important things that I try to live by is in some of the things that I do. Everything is an alleged thing. Until someone is convicted in open court, you can't just assume. Now, in this case, people will use this against Matt. Even if he beats the rap on this, he'll still have to hear it because, well, maybe he did it and he was just found not guilty. We also have to remember this could be a girlfriend of his that, maybe said, I don't want to see you. They had a fight. I don't want to see you. She calls the cops and said he's stalking her, So I think we really have to wait. This is Twitter, though, and people aren't going to do that. That said, I think the one comment that I do kind of relate to and what Rambo said is he does have some weird behavior on Twitter with this kind of thing. Constant, bothering people on the same shit. So I think we got to wait to see what happens
If
here.
you were playing what Zylbo charged was game stalking would have been chalk. I would have had stalking -200. So I will say my only point is I hope Rob is happy. He brought Pozzoster Pizzola, brought Zylbo. He was gone. It was career was over. He was in the shadows. Brought him back to fruition. Super Bowl prop show. He's back at Deadspin. And look what happened now. So this is like one of those movies where the thing you create all of a sudden turns on you. So yeah.
Oppenheimer. I said it from the start. He's gonna have his Oppenheimer moment. This is it. I said this was going to happen. Did I not?
Also, for anyone, just before we hear from Flop, Matt Zylbert's not going to go to jail over this. Okay, it's likely that he'll. Why is?
Okay, Nadu, I just saw with like stalking in the fourth degree a misdemeanor. Why has he been? Why has it been going on for a year and a half? Why don't you take a plea and get go?
Here's why he's not going to take a plea because in his heart, and this is why I would never take a plea if I didn't do something. If I didn't do something, you're not going to make me plead guilty to something I didn't do. I think Matt Zylbert probably, at least in his heart of hearts, please, he did nothing wrong here. He can prove beyond a reasonable doubt he did nothing wrong here. And they're just trying to keep the ducks in a row. In the end, it's a misdemeanor. But this is something that people on the internet will use forever. And if he's exonerated of it, look, I'm never going to plead to something I didn't do. A lot of the time people plead because they know the government has them by the balls. So they say, well, I don't want to get life for this, so I'll take the 10 years. And it's like a get out of jail free card in a way. So yeah, remember too, this could be as simple like he went to a bar, right? Got a girl's number. They were both drunk. He hit her up the next day. She didn't respond, and he just kept hitting her up, and she felt worried about it. So we just got to wait and see with this.
Yeah. So Nadu, I agreed a lot with the first half you said. This is pending, and I think it's pretty disgusting from Frank Rainbow to tweet about this because nothing has happened. We cannot. We live in America. We're not in communist Canada like Jacob over there.
We have the same.
We are innocent until proven guilty. You have to assume Matt didn't do it until if he ever does get convicted. And the problem I had with the later half, what you said to do is this is exactly what Rambo was going for. He's hoping people think, oh, Zylbert has these tendencies online. He probably did it. You cannot assume that. You have to assume he's innocent. Maybe Zylbert is very different in person than he is online. We have no idea. Does anyone know him in person? So you have to assume he's.
Thank God, no.
Right. Yeah, you have to assume he's innocent. And using this to spread a hate message is disgusting behavior, in my opinion. This is the issue with the internet. And this is a real problem across the board. Celebrities deal with this shit all the time. Oh, I don't like that celebrity, so he's definitely guilty. He did that shit.
Yeah.
All right, you got to give people the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, I hope it's not. I don't want to see any woman go through shit like this. But we'll have to wait and see. But as Flip said, and New York doesn't like. I know in Pennsylvania, you could look up what I did. If this was me, New York's really they keep everything cryptic. They just put out what the charge is and that's it. So we'll see. But he told me, according to him, he didn't do it, and he's fighting for his innocence. So you got to give him that.
You guys are absolutely correct. The goal of this of making this public is absolutely it is a bad look regardless whether he did it or not. And I'm in agreement with you that in a court of law it's innocent until proven guilty. But it's been spread because he's rubbed people the wrong way, and it's a bad look. Now, should it have gone this far? I don't necessarily think so.
Jacob, I hate to tell you, I've never done the shit he's done. If I had this charge, it'd be put out there too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about just your overall feeling on someone. There might be one person just doesn't like me. They're going to put that out there.
It doesn't make it right, though, if that's the case.
Yeah.
This is a disgusting look from Frank Rambo. I lose a lot of respect for him.
This is bad. It got worse. More Matt Zylbert news surfaced, also from sources like Frank Rambo, who pulled up an article and charges against Zylbert, which he was found innocent of. I'll preface by saying this. It was case type, personal injury towards motor vehicle, New York Supreme Courts. The defendant here is listed as Matthew C. Zylbert. And the article reads, I don't really want to read the entire article, and I blocked out the name of the victim out of it is publicly available. But I just didn't really want to broadcast the name of the victim. I didn't feel like it needed to do that. But yes, it is confirmed that Matt Zylbert was driving a vehicle which struck a pedestrian and killed that pedestrian. Now, in the court, he was found innocent, but Frank Rambo put this up. This is reading what Frank Rambo said here. This is true. Zylbert blanked a woman with his car. His daddy had to get him a lawyer to avoid vehicular blank charges. Elf knows this is true, and he tried to cover it up, but now it's out in the open. We know Matt Zylbert likes to drink. One can only wonder. Well, I'll get to that in just a second here. Big assumption there. Nothing is fact. This is, but this is the information that we have.
But see, this just shows you that whether or not Matt Zylbert is innocent or not of the other charge we just talked about, this won't be enough for these people. Because we just made it clear Matt Zylbert was found to have no wrong. Like, it was an accident. He probably lives with that shit every day, man. Like, this is why the internet can get really fucked up, because he was clearly in a court of law found innocent. He lives with it every day. And you get this guy talking about this and that, why this should have happened. Nothing will ever be enough for Frank Rambo. He doesn't like Matt Zylbert. Nothing will be enough. It's just how he's made that very clear.
I'll finish the story here. So Elf said it's a ridiculous statement that I tried to cover up a Zylbert car crash from 2018. And Zylbert is appearing. We record this show Thursday evening. Zylbert will be on the Elf show tonight. So by the time this comes out Friday morning, that will already have happened. But this is the information that we have right now. Zylbert did say that he does live with this. But this is a Zylbert tweet from 2020. This is from 2020, a screenshot brought up from I Run So Bad. 1, yep, stayed there, took breathalyzer. Obviously nothing since I was only on my way to friend's house for Dodgers Red Sox World Series game. In parentheses, he says Buehler was pitching, ironically had the over and lost. And went home after the whole scene, devastated. It's still tough to process this day. I think that the fact you lost a bet is something that we're okay to just maybe don't bring that up. Still, I think there's more important things than you losing your bet. But yeah, again, this feels like we're going a little far here. What do you think, Flub?
This is exactly what Nadu said. Zylbert still has difficulty processing this from till to this day. This is disgusting behavior from Frank Rambo and I Run So Bad or whatever on Twitter. These people have no shame. I mean, are they perfect? Have they done nothing wrong in their personal lives? How would they feel about that getting brought up? And additionally, he was found not guilty in the court in the court of law. Like, you have to assume he didn't do it, because do we not trust the justice system?
But this is, again, this makes it clear that whatever happens in this new case, it will not be enough for him. Look, I would also tell Matt this, and a lot of people have this problem on Twitter, I noticed. Why is he going on an Elf show to talk about this? I mean, what does he have?
That was going to be one of my follow-ups.
Yeah.
I try to do this with the whole Sean Perry thing. You shouldn't do this. This is a bad idea. You shouldn't do it. And then, look, I like Elf, but it's like, well, when something happens, you're like, why am I being thrown into this? And it's like, because you're going to use this, you're going to get mad, and you're going to clown on him. People will laugh at it, and he'll say something stupid, I'm sure, and it'll fuck everything up for him.
Yeah, I would say the word, like, the Zylbert trolling, this took it to like an unhealthy level here of, like, if you even the first thing, like, it's public information, the charges going out there, that to insinuate that, like, even in his first tweet, that, like, he likes to drink, like, when that was obviously proven not to be the case, and the article said so. This got a little ugly for me, where I can find, humor in a lot of things. This little uncomfortable.
Just keep it to gambling. He, like Jacob said earlier on, he had that idiotic thing where he changed a losing bet to a push. Attack him on that. He's done lots of stupid things, gambling related, that are all public on Twitter. You can attack him for anything like that, but especially where, one, it's pending, and one, he was proven guilty, or no, sorry, not guilty, innocent. What are we doing here? What is he supposed to do in this situation? He was proven innocent, and you're attacking him for it.
And also, can we bring that back up? The original, the tweet. with the not no, go back. The one with the obituary or whatever on it.
Okay, so yeah.
Yeah, it also looks that on the left, he was also sued probably in civil court for wrongful death, because that's what that looks like there. The executor of the estate sued him, it looks like. So not only did he have to, I'm sure this is something that he has had to live with on multiple levels. This could happen to anybody, man. You're driving, I know someone very close to me that this happened to. They actually hit a child, sadly, and they lived with it their whole life. The kid just ran out for a ball or something, and it's, I don't know. Like Flupp said, I've dealt with shit like this, not necessarily what he's dealing with, but people will use anything against me. And what does it have to do with Twitter? I don't have any idea, but Frank Rambo has some issue with Zylbert. He will go to the ends of the earth and has no problem with bringing up anything. I'd like to know who Frank Rambo is, like to see what he's done in his life. It's easy to throw stones in glass houses, especially when you don't like someone. But I think some of the shit you got to just keep off here. But it doesn't seem like Frank's gonna.
So Zylbert has rubbed a lot of people the wrong way and has continued to like double, triple, quadruple down on that. Like he unpromptedly calls people out. I don't think it should have been taken to this degree at all, and the insinuations that are being made are taking it too far. But I also would say for Zylbert here, look, like this is a guy that again shows up in people's mentions unprompted all the time and to a very continuous degree for a lot of people. With this information being public as well, I'm not trying to blame him here, but he's exposed himself for people not liking him. He's exposed himself for people digging in on him.
But Jacob,
it should not have been taken to this degree, though.
But let me ask you, Jacob, if Matt's found innocent, will Frank Rambo tweet that out?
No. That's what I'm saying. It's been taken. It's taken to a too severe degree here with the way it's being insinuated with the language on the screenshots.
I think Nadu had a great point. It doesn't matter, like what you're saying, Jacob, is irrelevant because you just need to find one person that doesn't like Zylbert. Does anyone have a public appearance that has truly 100% of people that like him? No. Even the most liked people have haters, and it takes one person to do something stupid. So you can't blame Zylbert for being incessant and being annoying because it doesn't matter. Like it just takes one person to not like you for whatever fucked up reason and attack. So to blame Zylbert is also disgusting and gross in my opinion. It's not Zylbert's fault. It's Frank Rambo's fault. He should be the one that takes full responsibility and full blame. He should delete these tweets and apologize because this is disgusting.
But is this where we are, that we're grasping for things that that happened? We then found out that he was innocent in, and we're still going to use them against him? Like, at what point do we say, maybe I'm just going to skip this one? I'll keep clowning on him for his bets or something.
Exactly.
I don't even know. Like, I don't know where it goes from here. I don't know. I guess we'll see after his appearance on the Elf Spaces. But yeah, I have no idea where this goes from here. But let's switch to a more lighthearted topic here, if we can. We'll go to the discourse on gambling Twitter, because gambling Twitter has gone from more than just gambling. It actually has now discussed Bill Belichick and his 24-year-old girlfriend. It also has discussed one gorilla versus 100 men. Robert Mays points out here, discourse about the influence of UNC head coach Bill Belichick's 24-year-old girlfriend intertwined with talk about the logistics of 100 men fighting one gorilla just isn't the sort of day you could have imagined on the internet 20 years ago, a world of endless possibilities. And on the topic of Bill Belichick, first of all, lots of drama around his girlfriend, Jordan Hudson, at the moment, because first of all, she played a quote-unquote instrumental role in UNC football's fallout with Hard Knocks. So there was going to be a Hard Knocks on the UNC team this season, but she apparently wanted way too much involvement, so they had to shut down the entire thing from happening. And in a recent interview, Bill Belichick was doing, by the way, the shirt, the ripped fucking
Why
shirt.
does Belichick always dress like a homeless guy? I don't
Belichick. Their interview was interrupted when the interviewer asked Bill Belichick how him and his girlfriend met. Like a pretty common question to ask to a couple, especially a pretty new couple, taking interest in them. Just, lighthearted question, and it was shut down immediately by Jordan, who said, we're not talking about that. As you can see off to the side. Nadu, you had some very you were excited to talk about this. Well, okay, let's start with this before we get into it.
This is the type of woman Nadu needs in his life. Strong woman, can get her shit together, put him in check. I could see
what would be the type of woman
with the baby, coming along here, and that being kind of his future.
What would be the type of woman? This is a very diabolical lob here, but what would be the type of woman that would not want anyone to know how she met her boyfriend?
Well, listen, if you can get past the sticker shock, the very shocking age gap between these two, 50 years, I don't understand the hype with. I don't get that. Like, I don't understand why people care so much.
Dude, are you saying that a 50-year age gap is not normal? I mean,
no, I'm saying if you can get past that, it's very weird. Surely,
he's 73. She's apparently 24.
But this is no different than any other relationship. A lot of men date women that tell them what to do or wear the pants in the relationship. The only big thing is Bill Belichick. Maybe just some people don't want to talk about it. They don't want to know. What does it matter to anybody? We met a certain way and we're happy with it. That's all that matters. Also, I'm so beyond this whole thought that when you are a man that looks like Bill Belichick, when you're a man that looks like Jeff Nadu, when you're a man that looks like Joey Knish, you've got to do things to attract women. To have beautiful women around you, you have to do certain things. Could mean paying for certain things when you go places. That's just how it works.
I'm happy I didn't get called out there.
I just don't understand why
I thought I was going to catch a stray.
But no, if you have a beautiful, hot woman like her around you, there's something you're doing above just the way you look. Let's just be honest. It's how and by the way, real quick, the whole 70-year-old with 20-year-olds, that's been happening forever. Go to Florida and look around. It happens all the time. Why is this such a big thing? It's weird. Yeah, I get it. But other than that, it's pretty normal.
You would have had 48 hours ago, I would have been like, Nadu, I'm with you, agree. What's come out in the last day or so between the CBS interview behavior and now she's got a $10 million real estate portfolio that she didn't have a few months ago? It's getting to the level.
Joey, I'm agreeing with you. The truth of the matter is, she is a come-upper, just like a lot of the young girls that go out with older men. There are women that I know personally that literally don't have a job. They sit at home all day, and men pay for their lifestyle. They have no shame in it. This is just how they do things. They have a brand new Mercedes. This is how they do things. This has been. Anna Nicole Smith was doing this 25 years ago. Like, this is a tale as old as time. She's a come-upper. That's what she does. She finds attractive or unattractive rich men and gets her lifestyle paid for. There's websites dedicated to this. Seeking Arrangement is dedicated to this whole thing.
Sounds like
I'll push back. Sorry, if I could go, I'll push back a little bit just because it's not. Obviously, I think it's I wouldn't agree with a 50-year age gap in a relationship, but okay, you know what?
No to why.
That's what they want. Sure, go ahead, go off, Bill. But it's the level of control she is trying to exude in every facet of his life that I think people are more sticking on rather than we kind of understand what's going on. She didn't have any real estate portfolio. Now she has like an $8 million or a $10 million one. That's whatever. That always happens. But the level of control she is trying to take over on Bill Belichick's life, to the fact that they had to cancel running a Hard Knocks series for UNC because she insisted so much involved in there. We can't even do this show because of how much of a problem she is going to be in making it happen. Okay, Flip, go ahead.
Well, first of all, I just want to say it sounds like Joey's a little jealous that he's not real estate savvy enough to generate a near.
I mean, I didn't know. I just wish, you know what, Bill, I would have treated you better if you give me $10 million in real estate. You can do whatever you want.
How do we not know that she just didn't, produce from 100,000 to $9 million?
Right. It could be the new HGTV show. Her
exactly. Exactly. But I think it's funny because we're all inferring here, and we didn't like it with the Zylbert when we're inferring. But I think this is very different because they're a public figure, and they can choose not to be a public figure. You can take yourself out of the spotlight. He didn't have to take another head coaching job. This is what comes with part of the territory. And I think Nadu made a great point. Or was it Jacob? They said the controlling aspect was yeah. That was,
you think Nadu made that good point?
Yeah.
I didn't make that point.
Yeah, the controlling aspect is what's really weird, especially for someone like Bill Belichick, who controlled the Patriots very closely for decades. So that's a little weird to me. I don't know why Bill's doing this. Maybe he just doesn't care because he's 73 and is.
Do me a favor. Yeah. Jake, put that picture of her back up with him. That's why he's doing it. Not that
he's happy. He said it in the interview. He said he's happy. He said he's happy.
I'm married to a beautiful woman, so this does not even do anything for me.
But wouldn't you be happy going home to that every day, Jacob? I mean, come on. Let's be honest.
He's going to die. I have a very attractive fiance who I'm very happy with.
He's going to die within 10 years, probably. He's just trying to enjoy the rest of his life.
He said he's happy.
Yeah, that's all that matters, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right. We can still talk about it and make fun of him, but he's happy. So, he gets to do what he wants.
But I am curious as to how they met.
Me too.
People have speculated it's escort situation.
Yeah, can I give my thought on how I think they met?
That's why I tried to intro this topic. Please.
I believe Shirley. She was a high class escort. He was introduced to her probably through somebody else, and then they had the whole thing like when a guy goes to a strip club, he gets the stripper's number and thinks he's going to date her. Bill actually did. I think she wooed him or he wooed her, and it was like what's that, Pretty Woman? I think that's the film.
Yeah, similar story.
Well, something else that was in the original tweet that I brought up here was the gorilla conversation, and this is still relevant even today. And we did talk about this extensively on the Tuesday episode. I took heat because
the only guy that had any sense is right here.
I said I'd lay juice on the 100 humans. I got ridiculed. Knish, you agree with me?
That Pizzola line of minus 10,000 is the worst line I've ever seen on any sporting event in quotations. In my life.
Well, Novik put it at 999 trillion, minus 999 trillion, so not quite that bad.
First of all, a gorilla, like people think, like it's not like Godzilla. It's not like the movies. A gorilla, they're docile animals. There's no recorded case of a gorilla killing a human ever in history. Like this is thinking that the gorilla is like, and they're even saying like, oh, he's gonna take his limb and be beating up. That's not how a gorilla would fight. Wait, have you ever watched Animal Planet or any of those? That's not how a gorilla acts. Jacob, you were right. 100 humans should be favored in that. I think even some wildlife experts came out and even in the last few and said, yeah, the humans would win. Now, if we're talking a couple of the other animals, hippo, polar bear, I think we're getting a little bit, closer to, a real fight here. The gorilla is a ridiculous example that's been like, just blown up by pop culture because people think gorillas are these city killers and stuff.
I'll a quick Google search. I'll quickly correct you. There have 0 recorded cases of a wild gorilla killing a human, but there have been 3. There have been documented cases of gorilla killing humans in captivity, but never a wild example, according to a very quick and brief.
By the way, not a gorilla, but Travis the chimp. Can I interest you in that, Joey? You should look into that story. Pretty interesting.
I don't want to know now.
I don't know if I want to know either.
It's just like a chimp that was like very house trained.
Oh, I remember this now.
That attacked a woman. Yeah,
he lived with like an old woman and
he ingested Vicodin and went crazy.
But what if there was 100 of them? Maybe it goes differently.
But I agree with this. I agree with what you guys are saying. I agree.
Okay, Flip, what do you think?
I think you're completely right, Jacob. The 100 humans should be favored here. Maybe if it was like 30 or 25.
This is the A team. This is why it's the A team, guys.
Maybe, but and I'm not saying that 0 humans died. Probably dozens would die.
Every argument.
When you see the first couple of people have people been going to war for the entirety of human history? What happens? You see people die. Yes, if we're going and facing 100 gorillas and the choice, yeah, people are going to die. Like, you're going into it with that survival and just being like, I'm going to play dead. That's not the, you can't play dead. That's not the point. You either go in, like, you're either going to die or you beat the gorilla.
The worst was Rob tried to show an AI agreeing with him. But the problem is you can change the tone of the AI prompt to get different answers. So, like, he was just cherry picking one that agreed with him. Complete.
And he quote tweeted a video of a simulation which did not at all account for the fatigue, which is the most important part.
Exactly.
It's the fatigue, and
right,
it's
like
the perseverance.
Gorilla
the
simulation. Yes, no, that's not what.
Very, very disingenuous, Rob. Just saying.
Every conversation I've had with somebody about this is like
Zylbert Defense Fund.
Every conversation people say like, oh my God, the first 30 people are toast. They're getting ripped apart. Yeah, there's still 70 left, and the gorilla's already fucking exhausted. He hasn't even gone through half of them. Even if it is all the first 50, half the people are left, and the gorilla's fucking exhausted. My friend is like, whenever he starts doing this, like this, he starts spinning and wiping everybody out his path. He'll be tired in 5 seconds. Like, even better, just get out of the way, and he'll be exhausted. We have more people left. There's nothing that will convince me off of laying juice in the humans.
But Joey's a great point. When has a gorilla taken like body parts and like used it as a weapon? It's smart enough to do
that. You're right.
What would happen?
It's strong enough to do that, but you're also right. I didn't think about it. Would it actually do that? Probably not. So yeah, you let us know in the comments.
So all right, I know we got to move on. The strategy, though, I think to win is just as many people as you can piles on the gorilla, and then you're like almost like suffocating it, right? Like
exactly.
You get like 10 or because I mean, gorilla even at its best, so like 500-600 pounds. You get 10 people, 15 people to grab it, and then start piling on.
500 is even like way beyond like a standard. Like an average would be like 370, 380 for a silverback, which is what we talked about.
Yeah, that to me, I don't even think it's it's not even a debate. And Rob giving the worst line of all time with that. So I think if you go like I said, hippo or polar bear, then it's getting a little dicey as to like
different
how we're actually gonna how are we gonna kill a hippo? I don't even know. I can't even come up with a strategy.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like hippos and polar, like some of those vicious animals, like unprompted.
Yeah, right. Like they're actually attacking humans.
It's like what is this saying? Brown laid down, black fight back, white good night.
Yeah,
the colors of bears.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. We talked about misclicks, mispricing lines. Well, we have another example of that happening here. And this is a very, very long story, so allow me to give the full story on this one here. So it all started with the misclicks that were happening on the Miami Heat Cleveland Cavaliers Game 4. Florida Arbor at the Florida Arbor said, Cavs at plus 300 with laughing emojis because obviously a misprice here that Miami should have been the plus 300 team because they were the big underdogs, but Cavs were put at plus 300 here. The big buck hunter said, as a Novig user, would you feel better about the platform if we voided this or let it stand? We kind of talked about that earlier on in the show, so I don't need to dive quite back into that completely here. But the story goes a little bit further because Elf brought up an example of his friend and timestamper for the Elf Spaces at BJ Covers, who accidentally bet his entire bankroll today on Miami at plus 320. So correct price, but bet way too much money on this and wanted to bet on the Cleveland Cavaliers instead at minus 320. It would have been more comfortable playing that. Now, it is to my understanding that BJ Covers has a history with problem gaming. And many people have talked about it, and it was discussed in this. But it is my understanding that BJ Covers, self-proclaimed, has problem gaming issues. But it was a screenshot from Elf of a conversation they had over iMessage where BJ Covers said, I tried doing Cavs and took fucking heat. Elf says, LMAO, laughing my ass off, finds the humor in it, and shows a screenshot of the wrong bet. And then mentions, that's like your whole bankroll, right? And BJ Covers says, yes. I still got extra money in the bank, but my betting bankroll, yes. I swear I clicked Cavs minus 320 for a make order for like 2.2K. What's the plan? Let it ride or hedge for a loss? BJ Covers says, I don't know what to do at this point. And then L says, I'm going to tweet it out, but I'd hedge for a loss. A loss is my advice. Took Miami plus 320, and they were plus 365 at that point. So it took a really bad price on Miami. And Elf did ask on Twitter what BJ Covers should do in this situation. Well, got picked up. BJ Covers also tweeted it out, by the way. Tried placing a make order on Cavs minus 320, took Heat plus 320. I'm so pissed right now. What the fuck should I do, boys? Well, the game did not go to the way he would have wanted. It is, I think it's funny that not only it's a little funny that it also wasn't a game. And the Cleveland Cavaliers won 138-83. It was like 72-28 in the second quarter. Complete blowout from start to finish. Kirk Evans did not like people finding humor in this, did not like people shitting on this. Evans. Moneybag Yo at Get to the Window was finding light in the humor in this situation that I just was as well. Kirk Evans said, and he's on the B team on Tuesday, says, yes, shitting on this guy for clout is a good way to go about this. And also in this thread talked about the problem gaming issues that have been expressed for BJ Covers. Moneybag Yo says, LOL Kirk, this man has had many people try to help him, including myself. He's helpless, and I will never feel bad for someone who won't help themselves. I'm sure your circle back segment will be better, though. Well, it's going to be our circle back segment, actually, Moneybag, unfortunately for you. But here's what I have to say on this. Maybe we shouldn't be dunking on a person with problem gaming. However, Elf himself was laughing about it directly to the person, and also on Twitter used a laughing emoji, said LMAO directly to BJ Covers. So even Elf, who said it is his friend, was laughing at his own friend in this scenario, okay? Which makes me feel a little bit more comfortable about laughing myself. And they literally exposed this for clout. Both Elf and BJ Covers tweeted this because they wanted fucking clout for this scenario. All of this could have easily been handled in private, just arb out of it, hedge out of it for a loss. If it is that big, if it is that much exposure you can't handle, just hedge out of it for a loss in private. This all would have been put to bed. Nobody would have ever known about it. But the fact that they raised this for clout, Elf himself was laughing about it, makes me think that this is completely fine to discuss. And it's not, the ironic isn't the right word, but the fact this happened and then the Cavaliers completely stomped the Heat like it was 100 humans versus one gorilla does add a bit of humor to the situation. What do you think, Flup?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think a lot of things to break down here. The first is, should this be voided? I think depends on really the user of who made it. Like BJ Covers should not get voided. Like that's ridiculous. The people that got the Cleveland plus 320, maybe, but it's. And then, so that's one aspect.
It wasn't a mistake line. It was
right. So like,
yeah, misclick. We'll say. Go ahead.
Exactly. So it was clearly like they meant to place the. They didn't mean to give. They clearly didn't mean to bet Heat minus 320. They meant to bet Cavs minus 320. So I think it's fine to void, but totally fine if they don't. It's really like, it's really up to their discretion at this point. But then also like Kirk talking about how like dunking on Moneybag Yo, I think that was a bit out of line because, like you said, Jacob, clearly BJ and Elf wanted the clout, so it opens the door up for everyone. So I don't get where Kirk's coming from at that point. And as far as what BJ should do, well, the first thing he should do is uninstall Novig and every other gambling app and quit gambling, and probably stop doing the Twitter thing. He should be getting off. He has a serious problem. But to Moneybag's point, many people have tried to help him, and he's unwilling to get helped. He wants to keep gambling. I've tried to say numerous things. I try to leave the spaces whenever he's on because I don't want to encourage it. At this point, like if people are trying to help you and you don't want to be helped, nothing we can do. And only dunking on him at this point is probably fair game.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I was going to take it too with the BJ Covers thing. It feels a little I don't know, gross that kind of use. It's almost being used on the Elf show as like a, for the time stamping and for a little bit of a plot here. And then the guy's misclicking his entire bankroll. Like he's got his entire bankroll at one book and he's putting it on on the wrong side of things. Again, it's a little bit cringe in that aspect of it. But I don't. It's a weird. I know this is like the circle we were going back on, like, should exchanges void? Should they not? I don't know. It was also like when you see people like there was the Florida Arbor, there was another guy. They're like, this is the greatest day of my life. Like I found, miss that, and then they've already like betted out at another book on the other side, and it puts the exchange in a weird place, the user in a weird place. From like an unbiased quotation, like outside observer, there's a part of me that's like, fuck that Arbor guy. Like, what I'm saying? Like, just void it, screw the guy. But again, in terms of like a business thing, what's the best way to do it? I think you can argue all day.
In terms of the BJ covers, I'm surprised you guys actually believe this. Like, this is all.
That's what.
It crossed my mind as well. Yeah,
No,
I'm gonna bring it up if it's even real. Like Knish said, like all your bankrolls in one book, and we're gonna bet it all on one game. Like even if you got on the right side, like you're gonna put your entire bankroll on one game.
This is again, and I do think Elf is pretty smart with like foreshadowing what he's gonna do next or something. This gave him a whole show, right? And in the business that he's in. Also, if you read BJ's tweets, it's basically him tweeting like Elf. Every time Elf tweets, it's an engagement farm tweet. What do we think, boys? What do you think we should do next, boys? What should I do, boys? like Elf probably
that really is like
it's like the exact same cadence, exact same style. Yeah.
Yeah. It like that's why I had to wonder, like, this has to be bullshit. But I agree. I'm out on BJ. I'm tired of the whole like I'm not gambling anymore, but I'm going to sit in gambling chats for hours on end. And like any person with a true problem, they recognize they have the problem and they go get help with the problem. And they don't, like, I always go back to the same connection. Like, a crackhead doesn't get clean and then go hang out with crackheads and sell crack. Like, it's just, it's ridiculous.
It's like BJ covers if you were an alcoholic spending every night
at a bar,
but ordering lemonade, not alcohol. What are we doing here?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, look, problem gaming is serious. I'll take it seriously. Like maybe just wants to continue to be involved, like whatever. Like fails to address the problem here. But like, if it was that big of a deal, number one, don't post it. Number two, clearly the obvious answer was just to hedge out of it and take a small loss.
But Jacob, let me ask you: if let's say you stopped working for the Hammer Betting Network, you stopped doing content, you went and got a job as a, I don't know, a police officer or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Would you spend time at every show and like and be like there, like
a zookeeper?
Yeah, it's weird.
Like, would I continue to watch like the content?
I'm not saying you wouldn't watch the content, but like you wouldn't be there you wouldn't be in like live chats every show. And like, I don't know. It just feels like when you leave something, you just leave. Right. I mean,
well, if the Hammer was like an addiction, I would probably like,
that's what I'm saying. It seems like BJ has an addiction.
Yeah.
Clearly he does. This is why, like I've told Elf before, like he shouldn't be using him as timestamp. That only promotes him to have more problems. Like stop using him.
Literally laughing at him.
Exactly. It's like, what are we doing here? He can't. I think the reason he stays is because he can't quit. Because like you said, Nadu, he's addicted. That's why he can't quit it.
And I think part of it is like there is a desire for clout. So leaving this, you don't no longer have access to that clout. So it's the problems pile up there.
Folks, it's your boy Joey K from Hit the Books, the #1 college football show in America, in all of North America. My man, Brad Powers, riding with the co-host, Joey Knish. We want to see you this fall back with college football picks, plays. Get on that YouTube channel, like, subscribe, get the noties up. We will be back this spring, this summer, this fall for all the college football content you can want. Joey K sent you there, baby, and come check us out on Hit the Books.
Let's move on, guys. Let's get to the chopping block. Few little pieces here that didn't quite cut a full segment, but we have 4 things that have mini segments here. Starting off with Tyrese Halliburton's father. This one's not loading, but anyways, the gist of it is the Milwaukee Bucks, in very choking fashion, ended up losing Game 5 to the Indiana Pacers. They were up 118-111 with 40 seconds left. Ended up losing 119-118. Again, historical sort of choke near the end of the game. And right after the game finished, the Pacers players jumped on the court in excitement about the win. And also jumping on the court in excitement of the win was Tyrese Halliburton's father, who walked on the floor, turned around with like a Tyrese Halliburton banner, looks directly, in my opinion, based on these photos, at Giannis, and was seemingly gloating right in front of Giannis's face. Giannis obviously found this to be disrespectful and let him know it was disrespectful. But Tyrese Halliburton's dad said, when I turned, it might have seemed like I was looking at him, but I really wasn't. I was looking through him, he said. Giannis said, don't fucking disrespect me. I don't know if you guys saw the videos. Maybe you did, but if not from the photos, Knish, you were kind of laughing there. Do you think he's antagonizing Giannis?
I did not see him
here?
say that quote. That's the lamest excuse. He's obviously taunting him, trying to look hard.
He turned around to look through him.
Yeah, like, I mean, get the fuck off the court. Like, I respect to Tyrese for saying that, like, in the post game after, like, my dad shouldn't have did that and all that stuff. And so, but like, I mean, that's clown behavior. The only thing I wish is that Giannis would have grabbed the towel from him and like choke slammed him or something on the court for
Giannis.
contact,
You can't get Giannis too good. Giannis doesn't have that snapping sort of.
Yeah, but
temper, you know?
like, to me, like, you're a fan. Some of these family members that think they're like, you know, like John Moran's dad and all that, like they think they're on the team and they're just like that. Like, get it. I don't know. I saw it today. They're like not going to let him sit courtside anymore. So yeah, don't be like you're not. It's not about you when you're trying to make it like.
It's such a historical moment to come back. I mean, winning a playoff series is always an achievement, and to do it in that fashion is so incredible. For like a player's
this son just
father,
had the biggest moment of his life, and you're trying to be the main character.
Right, for the player's father to take that moment away, not just from Tyrese Halliburton, who now can't celebrate the win, has to deal with this bullshit, but from like, this is the story more so than the rest of the team. This, inexcusable behavior.
Yeah, if he went over to celebrate with his son, no issue.
Yeah.
Well, he is taunting the opposing team, acting like he's part of the team.
Yeah.
Okay, calm down.
Yeah, you deserve the repercussions that come with that. We'll move to the next topic here. Topic on the Savannah Bananas, who sold out all 81,000 tickets for their game tonight in Clemson's football stadium. Is the team's largest audience ever and the second football stadium they've sold out this year. So for me, for anyone who doesn't know, because I didn't know until last year this even existed, but the Savannah Bananas are kind of like the Harlem Globetrotters, if you will, of baseball. They put on events where they play a game, but it's very showboaty, and it's supposed to be entertainment. But I say supposed to, like, I look at like the videos, it's like, I don't know about you guys. Would you guys ever pay to go see something like? Would you ever go to see something like this?
No, but I can understand why it's popular, for kids and things like that. Like I remember when I was a kid, I was obsessed. I fell in love with basketball through the And One mixtape tour. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Not real basketball, but it was fucking awesome. Like it was like hip hop and like it was dope. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
But then they started like saying like those guys probably could get to the NBA if they wanted, and it's like, well, no, they can't.
Skip to Malou that actually.
Yeah, like a few did, right?
Like
Skip to Malou,
right. Even Jacob does. I should be on the boardroom here now.
But I remember
the second time that I got him on an NBA reference.
But I remember people said like, that's not real basketball. And it's like, yeah, but it's fucking awesome. Like, it's good for kids and stuff. That's impressive that 80,000 people? I mean, that's amazing marketing and promotion. That's wild.
Yeah. I will say I'd rather have dinner with Moretto and Jason or be stuck in like a room with them for 4 hours than go see a Savannah Bananas game. But we just don't. I mean, if that's what you want to do, you want to take your kids, and I don't care.
The problem is how many sports bettors have like kids. Not many from what I can see. And I think Nadu hit the nail on the
Nobody
head.
in this
here.
panel.
Most are actually virgins, actually.
Nadu hit the nail on the head here. This is a family kind of thing.
Yeah.
So people like us, we don't have families yet. Not really interested.
It is so cringe. Like I maybe I'm an old guy now, but I've seen some of this stuff on like highlights.
I think it's cringe
Okay,
as well.
okay. Hold on a second. Again, this is the same thought I have on wrestling. If you are a grown man at wrestling matches, you're a fucking goof. Like, why are you watching wrestling? You're a grown man. It's fake. It ain't real. What are we
I think
doing?
wrestling's a different tier of entertainment. I will
No,
say
it isn't.
also some of the women's wrestling is,
Yeah, that's fine.
depending on what you're into, can be
Hey man,
can be rather entertaining.
Don't get in trouble again.
I'm not into any of that. I'm very platonic, but could be.
All right, next topic here. 2 more to go. We have a screenshot. As always, when there's a bad line posted, people like to clown on the sportsbook. Jay Biggs, at Jay Biggs DFS, says FanDuel can't be serious with this one. Plus 5,000 with a bunch of laughing emojis. And it's a bet Travis Hunter to win Offensive Rookie of the Year and Defensive Rookie of the Year. Plus 5,000. We'll start with you, Flip, on this. Obviously, it's a bad price. We know that.
Look,
How do you feel about sportsbooks doing this?
This is more promotional so that people can talk about it. If you don't like the line, just don't bet it. Like, you're not forced to bet it. It's fun. They wanted to put something out, and they didn't want to have to think about a price, so they just put a shitty price out there. So that obviously, I would take if I would lay 100 to 1. Like that, this doesn't happen, right? I would lay 100 to 1 on the no. So obviously, FanDuel's fine with taking this number, but now it creates a bunch of free content. People can talk about it. That's why it's out there. Makes a lot of sense from FanDuel's point of view. Just don't bet it if you don't like it. But it's fun to talk about and think about.
This was the exact thing they did with the Cavs to go undefeated when they were like 20-0 or something. And it was it was like 100 to 1 or something, and it should have one of those things that probably should be like it's like 100,000 to 1 or something of that nature. Again, my only gripe with it would be like maybe make. Like, I don't get, and obviously it's working, right? Because what did they want? They want content from it. What are we talking about on the show right now? We're talking about the fucking bet. So that's what but like, make a price that, like, I don't know, is maybe a little fun to throw. Like, if it's 200 to 1 or 250 to 1, but like 50 to 1 is so, like, Fluff, what number do you need to just off your head to bet the yes on that?
500. That's when I started thinking about it. 500.
Yeah, right. Like 500's even like where you're thinking I'm going to make a small wager, like 1,000 to 1 or something. It's like maybe you have some like small value or something or more.
Exactly.
Yeah, for stuff like this, Kirk Evans would like to say this is how they make their money. People will bet it, and they need to make money for people who win to be able to profit off of these sports books. I don't quite agree to that full extent, but. There are people who are going to bet this, but I would say, don't bet it. But also I agree with you, Knish, where it's like, could you give it like maybe a little bit better odds that when that fucking college bro dunks like, $5 on it, they have a bit more of a sweat. You're still getting a plus TV position as FanDuel. So I agree on that. Last one. I think everyone in the cast was thinking about talk about this one. It is Amanda Vance who came out and finally addressed the alcohol and drinking, all the allegations that have been put forth against her. I'll read out the tweet. It says, time to address this finally. Amanda Vance, by the way, pick seller, Amanda Wins' website, who we have concluded is very, 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 very likely a losing bettor who sells picks. Anyways, time to address this finally. I love to have a beer or a glass of wine, but I don't have a problem. It's been taken advantage of by other platforms for use of content, so I just want to clear the air. And this comes from many photos and videos of her consistently having alcohol. There were segments of Elf Spaces which she could not appear on because she was too intoxicated to appear. This is where all of this stems from. As a sports fan, there's nothing better than drinking and watching games. Fun fact about me is I've met several of these people from Twitter in person, and they've been They've tried getting me to take a shot, but I don't actually even drink liquor. I make sports content. A beer in hand is on brand, but I'm super okay. And if you believe it's anything more, you took the bait. I'm a casual drinker, nothing more. Knish, you're laughing a little bit here. What'd you make of this post?
Maybe I took the bait because I've seen her at a few events where nobody else is drinking. There's a boxing event, no one else is having a drink, and she's double fit or like at a table in the last.
Yeah, there was like one photo. They were at like a boardroom. They're in Vegas. And there was like a boardroom table.
She got two Miller
seemed like pretty early in the morning, and she had a Miller
like,
Lite in front of her. It was a bad look. Yeah.
I mean, listen, maybe I've made a couple jokes of about her drinking on Twitter, maybe potentially. Do I think she's got like a serious problem or any of that? Probably not. I do think it's a little bit more than maybe a casual, a little bit more than a casual, but yeah, I don't know if I'm totally buying it.
Well, generally, when you have a problem, you don't think you have a problem, and you need people to to sit you down and say, "Hey, you have a problem. You need to do something."
There are people who don't have problems who say they don't have problems, though. Just because you say you don't have them doesn't mean you necessarily do.
And again, I think she is, in terms of like, she doesn't drink liquor, which I guess it makes it a little bit better. That said, we have a lot of proof that, as you guys just talked about, she does drink a lot, and look, I also don't like that. I think she has been exploited probably, but I think she was involved in being exploited. She got something out of that too in the end. Her persona went up by being connected to that show. So everybody made out. Do I think she was actually drunk where she couldn't do that interview? No. I think she just said, "Hey, pretend I'm drunk so I don't have to do this." And that's what they did. Do I think she has a problem? How old is she? She's in her 20s. Look, if she's 35 and still doing this, maybe she has a problem.
Anything to add from you, Flup?
No, I don't really drink, so I don't get the appeal of it. So if she wants to go for it as long as it's not a problem, I guess.
I don't think anybody legitimately was bringing it up as if they actually thought it was a drinking problem. I wouldn't say it was lighthearted. It was like the intent was to put it down, make fun of her. But I don't think any of us genuinely thought there was a drinking problem. But after all this time, she did address it, so we'll just have to see if anything does change in the future. But that is it for today on Circle Back with the A-Team. If you did enjoy this episode, make sure you do smash that like button. Like I said earlier, it goes a humongous way towards growing the channel. Also, subscribe to help us on our road to 20,000 subscribers. If you're listening in audio form, rate and review 5 stars. And make sure you're following along on social media at CirclesOffHQ for even more content. And we'll be back next week on the Tuesday show here on Circles Off. We'll see you next time.